The Echo in the Woods. The air hung thick and sweet with the scent of pine and damp earth. 6 of them, an entangled web of young love and simmering secrets, had ventured into the heart of the national forest for a weekend of unplugging. It was a lie, of course. Their phones were buried in their bags, but the connection they craved, the thrill of a stolen glance, a whispered laugh, was as constant and draining as the low hum of the portable generator. There was Caleb, with his easy smile and a knack for making every girl feel like she was the only one in the world. And his girlfriend, Ivy, whose vibrant, fiery red hair matched her temper. Then there was Liam, a quiet, thoughtful guy who saw the world in shades of green, with his partner Rowan, all gentle eyes and a grounded presence. Finally, Silas, the mysterious artist who saw beauty in everything, and Luna, a soft-spoken girl with a quiet confidence that could shake a room. Their campsites were nestled in a small clearing, 3 tents arranged in a loose circle around a crackling fire. The first night was easy, filled with the warmth of the flames and the easy banter of people who had known each other for years. They toasted marshmallows, told ghost stories, and for a few fleeting hours, the web of deceit felt non-existent. The first flicker of deceit. The next morning, the cracks began to show. The sun filtered through the canopy, painting the ground in a mosaic of light and shadow. Liam was the first to notice something off. He and Rowan were collecting firewood when he saw Silas and Ivy laughing together, a little too close, near the stream. It was nothing, a shared joke, but the way Silas's hand lingered on her arm for a moment too long sent a jolt of unease through Liam. Later, while Caleb was busy setting up a hammock, Luna quietly sidled up to him. "Your knots are getting better," she said, her voice a low murmur. "Still not as good as Silas, but better." Caleb just laughed, a casual sound that hid a quick, conspiratorial glance. They talked about his music, about her photography, their shared passions that their own partners rarely understood. It was a comfortable exchange, but the subtext was a live wire. That evening, the 6 of them gathered around the fire again. The easy laughter from the night before was replaced by an undercurrent of tension. Every compliment from one partner to another felt like a pointed jab. "That's a great point, Silas," Ivy would say, her eyes fixed on his, making Caleb shift uncomfortably. "I've always loved how Luna sees the world like that," Liam would add. And Rowan would just tighten her grip on her mug. Then came the sneaking off. It started subtly. Caleb, claiming he needed to find a better spot to hang his hammock, would disappear for 20 minutes, only to return with a sly smile. Liam would go for a walk, only to come back with a few more pieces of firewood than needed. They all knew what was happening, but no one dared to say a word. The silence was the real monster, gnawing at them from the inside. Whispers in the dark. The second night, a thick fog rolled in, blanketing the clearing in a soupy white. The fire, once a beacon of comfort, became a hazy, unreliable glow. The isolation that had been a promise of freedom now felt like a cage. Liam was in his tent with Rowan, but he couldn't sleep. He heard a soft rustling outside, and his heart hammered against his ribs. He unzipped the flap just enough to peek out. It was Luna, her form a ghost in the fog, walking towards the darkness of the woods. He wanted to call out, but he felt a strange mix of betrayal and morbid curiosity. He watched her until she disappeared into the mist. He lay awake for what felt like an hour, his mind racing. When Luna finally returned, her clothes were damp with dew, and her hair was a mess. She slipped silently back into her tent. A few minutes later, he heard the faint sound of a whispered conversation from Silas's tent. He couldn't make out the words, but the low murmur was unmistakable. The next morning, the paranoia was palpable. Rowan found a small, heart-shaped rock tucked into her sleeping bag, a rock she knew was a signature from Caleb's collection. She looked over at Luna, then at Caleb, her mind racing with possibilities. Was it a prank? A warning? A confession? "Anyone sleep okay last night?" Silas asked, his eyes scanning the group. "I kept hearing things." Ivy, with a nervous laugh, said, "Me too. Just the wind, I guess." Her eyes flickered towards Liam, a quick, almost imperceptible glance. Liam suddenly wondered if he was the one she'd been whispering to, not Silas. The thought was a sickening punch to the gut. The couples weren't just a group anymore. They were 6 individuals, each with a different set of secrets and suspicions. The unraveling. The tension came to a head on their final night. A storm was brewing, the sky bruised purple and the wind beginning to whip through the trees. They huddled around the fire, a desperate attempt to cling to the illusion of togetherness. "What's with the rock, Caleb?" Rowan asked, holding up the small stone. Her voice was steady, but her hands were shaking. Caleb's smile faltered. "Oh, that. I thought it was a cool rock. Found it by the stream. Just left it for you." "By the stream where you and Luna were hiking yesterday?" Liam shot back, his voice edged with a sharpness he couldn't contain. The dam broke. Accusations flew like sparks from the fire. Ivy confronted Silas about the whispers. Caleb accused Rowan of flirting with Liam. Luna defended Silas. Her loyalty, a strange mix of genuine affection and a need to protect her own secrets. Each accusation was a thread pulled from the tangled tapestry, revealing a bit more of the ugly truth. They weren't fighting, not physically, but the words were a different kind of weapon, cutting deep and leaving lasting scars. Suddenly, a loud crack of thunder ripped through the air, and the lights on the generator flickered and died. The clearing was plunged into a complete, suffocating darkness. The wind howled, and the rain began to fall in heavy, angry sheet. In the darkness, the paranoia became a tangible presence, a rustling in the bushes, louder than the wind, a footstep on a wet branch, a faint, low voice calling out a name. But whose? They all froze, listening, their fear turning inward. Was it a trick? Was someone playing a cruel joke? Or was there something else in the woods with them, drawn to the chaotic energy they had created? In the terrifying blackness, their betrayals and secrets felt small. Their lovers' quarrels and stolen glances were nothing compared to the fear of the unknown. They reached for each other, not out of love, but out of a primal need for connection, for reassurance that they weren't alone. Their hands found each other in the dark, a desperate, clinging grasp that was both a confession and a plea. They didn't know who they were holding, and in that moment, they didn't care. The monster they had brought with them into the woods was no longer the betrayal, but the chilling realization that they had lost themselves in the process. The storm and the silence. The darkness was a suffocating blanket, punctuated only by the furious lightning that tore the sky open, briefly illuminating the 6 petrified faces. A gust of wind ripped through the clearing, sending loose branches scraping against the tent fabric, a sound that seemed to mimic the frantic scratching of a wild animal. In the chaos, the accusations fell silent. Their individual betrayals felt small and insignificant against the vast, indifferent power of the storm. Caleb found himself holding Luna's hand, his grip tight, her fingers cold and trembling. He could feel her fear, and it felt more real, more honest than any of the flimsy pretenses they had been living under for days. Across the way, Liam had instinctively pulled Ivy close, his arm a protective barrier against the wind, their faces inches apart in the fleeting flashes of light. Rowan and Silas were a tangled knot on the ground, their bodies pressed together as they shielded themselves from the downpour. The low voice they had heard before returned, closer now, a chilling whisper carried on the wind. It sounded like a woman's voice, a mournful, drawn-out cry that seemed to be calling out for someone. "Lee, ooh!" it wailed, a sound that was at once heartbreaking and terrifying. Did you hear that?" Rowan stammered, her voice a fragile whisper against the roar of the thunder. Silas shushed her, his eyes wide and scanning the tree line. "It's just the wind," he said, but his voice lacked conviction. They all knew it wasn't. The voice came again, this time sounding closer, more desperate. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once, a disembodied echo in the churning air. The group huddled closer, a primal instinct to protect their own, overriding the petty jealousies that had consumed them. The lines of the couples had blurred. There was no Caleb and Ivy, no Liam and Rowan, no Silas and Luna. There were just 6 terrified people in the dark, their hands clasped in a desperate chain of comfort. The morning after, the storm passed as quickly as it had arrived, leaving behind a world washed clean and silent. The air was crisp and cool, and a hazy morning sun peeked through the trees. The generator was dead, but the fire pit was still smoldering, a faint wisp of smoke curling into the sky. They were all soaked, shivering, and exhausted, but the animosity was gone. replaced by a deep-seated fear and a shared sense of vulnerability. No one mentioned the accusations from the night before. No one asked about the whispers or the stolen glances. The storm had reset them, forcing them to confront a fear far greater than their own. Luna was the first to speak. She was sitting with Caleb, sharing a wet blanket, their fingers still lightly intertwined. "I need to tell you something," she said, her voice soft but steady. I was out there last night, before the storm. I heard that voice then too. I thought I was going crazy." Silas's head shot up. "I heard it too," he confessed, his gaze fixed on the woods. "I thought it was you, Luna. I was trying to find you." Ivy, wrapped in a blanket provided by Liam, added, "I heard it too. When I was by the stream with Silas yesterday, I thought it was a joke." The circle of secrets began to unravel, not with anger, but with a quiet, shared terror. They each confessed to the things they had seen or heard, the strange occurrences that had fed their paranoia. They had been so consumed with their own drama that they had failed to notice the real source of the tension in the woods. The voice, the sounds, the feeling of being watched. Caleb stood up and walked to his tent, rummaging through his things. He pulled out a small, worn photograph. It was old, black and white, and showed a young man and woman smiling by a campfire. The man had a kind face, a gentle smile, and was holding a guitar. The woman, with her long, dark hair, was a mirror image of Luna. "I found this a couple of days ago," Caleb said, his voice barely a whisper, "down by the stream. It was tucked under a rock. I didn't know what to do with it, so I hid it. I didn't want to freak anyone out." A collective gasp went through the group. The woman in the photo was the spitting image of Luna. It wasn't a family photo. It was a picture of a couple from a different time, a different era. "I think the person in the photo is my great aunt," Luna said, her eyes welling up with tears. My family used to camp here all the time. My great aunt, her name was Alara, and her partner, his name was Leo." The realization hit them all at once. The voice they had heard in the dark, the mournful cry of Liu, was not a ghost story. It was a tragedy, an echo of a love story lost to the past. The woods weren't haunted. They were heartbroken. A new kind of connection. The remaining hours of their trip were spent not in drama, but in a strange kind of peace. They packed up their camp in silence, the tangled web of their secrets feeling absurd and distant. The flirting and the stolen glances had evaporated, replaced by a genuine understanding and a quiet respect for one another. As they drove out of the woods, they were no longer 6 individuals consumed by their own desires, but a group of friends who had shared a profound, unsettling experience. They had been so busy creating their own story of love and betrayal that they had almost missed the one the woods had been trying to tell them. The ghost in the woods was not a monster. It was a lover, a mournful whisper carried on the wind. A tragic echo of a love that had once been as real and as fiery as their own. They had been so intent on destroying their own relationships that they had failed to see the warning signs, the truth that was right in front of them. The true horror wasn't the ghost. It was the realization that in their own twisted game of love, they had been on the verge of becoming ghosts themselves. The car was filled with a new kind of silence. One that was not filled with tension, but with a quiet, somber reflection. They had come to the woods to escape, to play a dangerous game, but they were leaving with a newfound appreciation for the fragility of love and the terrifying, beautiful echoes it could leave behind. The ghostly echo and a new pack. The car ride back was filled with a new kind of silence. It wasn't the tense, resentful quiet from their camping trip, but a somber, reflective calm. They had all confessed to their flirtations and deceit, and the shared fear of the storm and the ghostly echo of Alara and Leo had stripped away the petty jealousies. The real tragedy wasn't their own betrayals, but the heartbreak of a love story lost to time. As they neared the city, Luna spoke, her voice soft but firm. "I think we all need to talk about what happened, not just in the woods, but between us." She looked at Silas, her eyes filled with a new understanding, a new kind of love born from shared terror. "We were so busy looking at what we thought we wanted in other people that we forgot why we were with each other in the first place." Caleb, who had been driving, agreed, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. "I'm sorry, Luna. And Rowan. And Silas. And you, Liam," He looked in the rearview mirror, his gaze meeting Ivy's. "Ivy, I'm sorry to you most of all. I put all of us through that just for the thrill of a stupid game." The confessions continued, each of them admitting their part in the tangled mess. Liam apologized for his jealousy, Rowan for her passive-aggressive behavior, Silas for his subtle manipulations. They realized they had been so caught up in their own drama that they had almost lost sight of the real love they had for each other. They had flirted with disaster, and the woods had shown them what a truly heartbreaking kind of loss felt like. "We need to do better," Ivy said, her hand reaching for Caleb's. "All of us. We need to be honest with each other. No more games." They all agreed. A silent pact forged in the shared memory of a ghostly whale and a forgotten photograph. They had gone into the woods as 3 couples on the brink of disaster, and they were returning as 6 individuals who had faced their own demons and come out the other side with a newfound appreciation for what they had. An unexpected postscript. A week later, the group met for dinner, a quiet evening at a local restaurant. The tension was gone, replaced by a comfortable, easy camaraderie. They talked about their jobs, their lives, and the upcoming fall season. The camping trip felt like a distant, unsettling dream. As they were leaving, Liam pulled Luna aside. "I need to show you something," he said, a strange look in his eyes. He led her to his car and pulled a small, leather-bound journal from the glove compartment. It was old, the pages yellowed and brittle. "My family owns the land where we were camping," he confessed, his voice barely a whisper. "I found this in a box of my great-grandfather's old things a few weeks ago. I didn't want to tell anyone because it felt a little too... well, you know..." He handed her the journal. Luna's eyes widened as she read the faded script on the first page. The Journal of Leo. Her hands trembled as she flipped through the pages. It was a love story, written in beautiful, poetic prose. The words spoke of a deep, abiding love for a woman named Alara, the same woman from the photograph. He wrote about their camping trips, their shared dreams, and the simple joys of being together in the woods. But as she neared the end of the journal, the tone changed. The entries became frantic, filled with a heartbreaking sense of loss. He wrote about a sudden illness, a terrible fever that took Alara from him. The last entry was a desperate cry of a broken heart, a promise to return to the woods every year to remember her, to call out her name in the hope that she would hear him.
Forging a new path forward. The aftermath of their camping trip didn't just mend their fractured relationships, it solidified them into something stronger. The shared trauma of facing both their own deceit and a ghostly, tragic love story had created an unbreakable bond. They had seen each other at their worst, in their most selfish and petty moments, and had come out the other side with a deep, renewed appreciation for their friendship. The 6 of them, Caleb and Ivy, Liam and Rowan, and Silas and Luna, made a conscious effort to be more present, more honest, and more supportive of each other. They started small, with weekly dinner nights that became a sacred ritual. The conversation was no longer laced with passive-aggressive remarks or subtle jabs. Instead, they shared their dreams, their fears, and their frustrations. They were each other's biggest cheerleaders, celebrating every small victory and offering a shoulder to lean on during every setback. They had been friends for years, but now they were a true support system. From friends to social media sensations. The idea to create content together started almost by accident. One night, while they were all hanging out, Silas, ever the creative mind, was filming a silly skit for fun. He captured the group's natural, easy chemistry, Caleb's boisterous humor, Ivy's sarcastic wit, Liam's thoughtful insights, Rowan's calm presence, Silas's artistic flair, and Luna's quiet confidence. The video, a short and unscripted look into their lives, resonated with people online. Encouraged by the positive response, they decided to try it again, this time with a bit more intention. They started a YouTube channel called The Echo Crew, a subtle nod to the ghostly whale that had changed their lives. Their content was simple but incredibly engaging. They did everything from challenge videos and collaborative art projects to deep, heartfelt conversations about relationships and mental health. Their authenticity was their superpower. People were drawn to their genuine interactions, their inside jokes, and the way they so clearly cared for one another. They weren't a manufactured group, they were real friends who had gone through a lot together. the channel grew at an explosive rate. They expanded to Twitch, where they would do collaborative live streams, playing games together, and interacting with their audience in real time. Their TikTok became a hub for short, hilarious clips and behind-the-scenes glimpses of their lives. They became known as one of the most entertaining and genuine streaming groups on social media, beloved for their unwavering support of one another. The richest kind of success. Success brought with it a level of fame and wealth they could have never imagined. They signed brand deals, sold merchandise, and earned a loyal following that numbered in the millions. But through it all, they never lost sight of what mattered most, their friendship. They made a pact early on to ensure their success was a shared one. All earnings were split evenly, and every decision was made as a group. Their support for one another was legendary in the online world. On every stream and in every video, they would shout each other out, promoting individual projects and celebrating each other's achievements. When Caleb started a music side project, his 5 friends were his most vocal champions. When Luna launched a photography print shop, they all featured her work on their social media. They were not just a group, they were a collective, each one a pillar of support for the others. They had gone into the woods as a group of friends on the verge of a dramatic collapse. They had emerged as a family, bound not by blood, but by a shared history and a deep, enduring love for one another. The wealth and fame were a bonus, a testament to the fact that their honesty and genuine bond had resonated with the world. They were rich, but not just in money. They were rich in friendship, in trust, and in the kind of success that no amount of drama could ever buy. A full circle moment. 5 years had passed since the camping trip that had changed everything. The 6 friends, now in their late 20s, were no longer just popular content creators, they were respected entrepreneurs and influential voices in the online world. Their company, the Echo Crew Incorporated, was a testament to their success. They had a team of editors, a production studio, and a massive community of loyal fans who called themselves the Echo family. Despite their busy schedules and newfound fame, they never forgot the origin of their journey. In fact, they made it a tradition to revisit the national forest every year on the anniversary of their first, fateful trip. This time, however, the mood was different. It wasn't about facing their past mistakes, it was about celebrating their future. As they set up their camp in the familiar clearing, they noticed something new. A small, handcrafted wooden plaque had been placed near a large oak tree. It was simply carved with a heart and the names Alara and Leo, and a date from over a century ago. Below it, a small box held a single, faded black and white photograph, a duplicate of the one Caleb had found years ago. The 6 friends gathered around the plaque, a wave of profound emotion washing over them. It was a full circle moment, a quiet tribute to the 2 souls who had inadvertently saved their friendships. They realized their story had become intertwined with Alara and Leo's, a modern-day echo of a timeless love. They had turned a tale of heartbreak into a beacon of hope and support. The legacy of the Echo Crew. Their journey wasn't just about becoming rich and famous. It was about building a legacy of genuine connection and showing the world that a group of friends could be a source of strength and success. They launched the Echo Foundation, a non-profit organization dedicated to supporting young creators and promoting mental health awareness, a cause close to their hearts after their own experience with jealousy and self-doubt. Caleb and Ivy, now married, often spoke about their camping trip as the turning point in their relationship, a time when they realized their love was stronger than any fleeting distraction. Liam and Rowan, a steady and unwavering couple, became known for their insightful videos on building trust and communication. Silas and Luna, partners in both life and art, inspired millions with their creative collaborations and their story of finding a deeper bond through shared vulnerability. As the years went by, their content evolved, but their core message remained the same: embrace authenticity, support your friends, and never forget the love that binds you together. They became more than just a streaming group, they were a symbol of what's possible when people choose compassion over competition. The campfire crackled, casting a warm glow on their faces as they sat around it, reminiscing about the old days. The woods were no longer a place of fear and paranoia. They were home, a constant reminder of the journey they had taken and the beautiful, honest life they had built together. The Echo Cruise story was not just a successful one, it was a powerful, human one, born from a place of near disaster and built on the foundation of unbreakable friendship and a love that echoed through time. A year of growth and giving back. The year that followed their anniversary camping trip was one of immense growth, both personally and professionally. The 6 friends, now more than a crew but a true family, had found a rhythm that balanced their individual lives with their shared creative endeavors. Their online success, fueled by their unwavering support for one another, continued to soar. Their fan base had grown exponentially, drawn not just to their entertaining content, but to the genuine friendship and positivity they radiated. They had a mantra: "What's good for one of us is good for all of us." This wasn't just a saying, it was a core principle of their business and their friendship. When Caleb released his first EP, the entire crew dedicated a week of content to promoting it, leading to a top spot on the indie charts. When Luna's photography book was published, Silas designed the cover art and they hosted a massive online launch party that sold out the first print run. Their individual successes were celebrated as collective victories, and they were always there to lend a hand, an ear, or an idea. The Echo Foundation. With their platform and their resources growing, the crew felt a strong pull to give back. They remembered the profound lessons they had learned in the woods, lessons about love, loss, and the importance of genuine connection. They decided to use their influence for good, officially launching the Echo Foundation. Their first major project was a passion project for the entire group. They partnered with a local youth center in a less fortunate area of their city. The goal was to build a modern media lab, complete with high-end computers, cameras, and editing software, to give underprivileged kids the tools and skills they needed to express themselves creatively. They wanted to provide the same opportunities they had, to show these kids that their voices mattered. The crew documented the entire process on their channels, from the initial planning stages to the grand opening. They weren't just a funding source, they were hands-on. Caleb taught music production, Ivy led creative writing workshops, Liam and Rowan hosted a Build a PC day, and Silas and Luna ran photography and videography classes. The community embraced them, and the kids, who had been fans of the Echo crew, were inspired to find their own creative passions. The success of the Media Lab was just the beginning. The Echo Foundation went on to host fundraisers for disaster relief, partner with local food banks, and mentor aspiring young creators from all walks of life. Their audience, the Echo family, eagerly joined in, raising millions through charity streams and donation drives. It became a beautiful cycle of giving and receiving, with the crew using their platform not just to entertain, but to make a tangible, positive impact on the world. Through it all, their bond remained the heart of their operation. They were still just 6 friends who loved to hang out, make each other laugh, and support each other through thick and thin. Their fame and fortune were a beautiful consequence of their friendship, a testament to the fact that when you build something on a foundation of genuine love and respect, it's not just a business, it's a legacy. A glimmer of the past. Another year had passed, and life for the Echo crew was a beautiful whirlwind of creative projects, charitable work, and unwavering friendship. They were now household names in the digital world, but their bond remained the heart of their success. The annual camping trip was once again upon them, and as they drove towards the familiar national forest, a quiet anticipation settled over the group. This year, it felt less like a pilgrimage and more like a homecoming. As they unpacked their gear, a figure emerged from the tree line, an older park ranger with a kind face and a thoughtful smile. He introduced himself as Ranger Miller. "I've been expecting you all," he said, a gentle twinkle in his eye. "The names on the plaque. Elara and Leo. I've known that story my whole life. My grandfather was the one who put that plaque there. He used to tell us kids about the young couple who came here every year. He said they were the kind of people who believed in leaving a place better than they found it. Their love was a story, and the woods were their home." The crew listened, captivated. Ranger Miller's words gave them an even deeper connection to the place. He explained that Elara and Leo were not just names on a plaque, but a symbol of the forest's enduring spirit. My grandfather told me that if you listen carefully on a quiet night, you can still hear the echo of their laughter, and if you're lucky, you can feel the warmth of their love. A new echo in the woods. That evening, as the fire crackled and the stars began to pepper the inky sky, the 6 friends sat in comfortable silence. The air was crisp and clean, and the low hum of their portable generator was a stark contrast to the silence they had once known. They had brought with them new cameras, microphones, and equipment for a special anniversary livestream. It was their way of sharing this sacred place with their audience. During the livestream, they talked about their journey, the drama, the betrayal, and the ultimate redemption they had found. They showed their audience the plaque and explained the story of Alara and Leo. The comments section exploded with messages of love and support, with many sharing their own stories of overcoming challenges in their friendships and relationships. As the stream neared its end, Caleb picked up his guitar. He began to strum a gentle melody, one he had composed specifically for this moment. It was a song about friendship, forgiveness, and the power of second chances. As he sang, Ivy joined in, their voices harmonizing beautifully. Soon, the rest of the crew joined in, their collective voices filling the clearing with a new kind of echo, one that was not of heartbreak, but of a love that was alive and thriving. The ranger's words about the echo of laughter and the warmth of love now made perfect sense. The forest was not haunted by the ghosts of the past, but enriched by the living echoes of the present. Their own love story, filled with its dramatic beginnings, had become a powerful testament to the enduring power of friendship and the magic that can happen when people choose to build each other up instead of tearing each other down. The Echo Crew's legacy was secure, a beautiful and vibrant echo of what love, in its truest form, can be. A lesson etched in time. The journey of the Echo Crew was a living testament to a powerful truth: not all bonds are meant to be broken. Instead, they are meant to be respected, cherished, and built on a foundation of love and trust, not on the fragile ground of jealousy and hatred. Their first camping trip, with its web of deceit and unspoken resentments, had brought them to the brink of a complete collapse. It had been a wake-up call, a jarring and terrifying realization that the very friendships they so valued were being poisoned by their own insecurities and selfish actions. The ghostly echo of Alara and Leo, though born of a tragic love story, was the catalyst that shifted their perspective. It was a mirror held up to their own lives, showing them the profound beauty of a love that was so pure and true, it could linger for centuries. They had seen what happens when love is lost, and in that shared fear, they had a choice: to continue down a path of jealousy and potential heartbreak, or to actively work to save what they had. They chose the latter. They chose to be vulnerable, to confess their faults, and to rebuild their relationships on a new foundation of honesty. The love they had for each other, as partners and as friends, was not a given. It was a garden that required constant tending, a flame that needed to be protected from the harsh winds of ego and deceit. This realization became the cornerstone of their success. The trust they built after that fateful trip was what allowed them to become the powerful and inspiring group they were. Their collaborative projects, their charity work, their very presence online, all of it was a direct result of their commitment to cherishing their bond. They understood that true strength doesn't come from being invulnerable, but from being honest with the people you love. The Echo Crew story, therefore, became a powerful narrative about choosing love over all else. They proved that the deepest connections are not born from perfection, but from the messy, imperfect, and beautiful process of forgiveness, understanding, and unwavering support. They had been given a second chance to build their bonds the right way, and in doing so, they had not only saved their friendships, but they had also created a legacy that would inspire countless others to do the same. Their echo in the woods was not a warning, it was a promise that love, in its truest form, will always endure.